Breaking news out of RDU. Reported evacuations out of Terminal 1. What we're learning from the scene.
Raleigh stabbing. A man is in the hospital after police say he was stabbed overnight. The man's condition after a reported domestic dispute.
A cool morning, but warmer weather is on the way. What's behind the warm-up and our next chance of rain?
Utility bill spike. Growing frustration among Duke Energy customers as their bills continue to go up. What's being proposed and how it could affect your monthly bill.
It is 6 a.m. here on your Monday morning, and a busy morning it is. I'm Laura Levine, and for Renee Chu today.
I'm Chris Lovingood. A very busy and active evening that we're going to tell you about, including overnight and that breaking news at RDU. Let's go ahead and first start with our weather report with meteorologist Chris Michaels. Chris, I mean, we're talking about a significant warm-up, and even this morning, way better than yesterday.
You know, some of us were in the 20s yesterday morning, so to think about 70s and 80s making a comeback this week. I mean, look, it's the end of March, and we see these temperature swings, but it just feels like they've been a lot recently. And today is no different. Southern Pines, 45 degrees, Fayetteville, 44, Raleigh's at 51. You can kind of see where there's more cloud cover providing a blanket, where there's more clear sky. Temperatures are on the cool side. So a light jacket will be just fine this morning. You're not going to need it very long, though. Temperatures will rise pretty quickly. And today, at a glance, your afternoon high temperatures will be in the mid-70s. All it takes is a little breeze out of the southwest to push our temperatures up. And that's where they're going to be pretty much all week long. We're going to give you a latest look at rain chances. I'll show you why I'm dropping them a little bit this week and if there's any change in the forecast as we get closer to Easter Sunday. Breaking that all down right now on the homepage of WRAL.com and right here in just a few short minutes.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Let's take a look outside on the roads this morning at I-40 at Carytown Boulevard. Traffic picking up just a little bit, but you can see it's moving pretty smoothly. Pretty normal here on your Monday at 6 o'clock. No major backups or delays that we're tracking at this time. We'll keep you updated on what we see on the roads throughout the morning. You can tune us in on the radio at 101.5 HD3. All right, we are following breaking news this morning. Some pretty hectic moments at RDU. Terminal 1 at the airport has been evacuated because of a security threat. So WRAL's Kirsten Clark has been there this morning for us following this breaking news. And Kirsten, RDU confirmed that they received some type of anonymous threat. Walk us through what you're seeing now, a pretty active situation.
Yeah, that it is, Laura. We're standing outside baggage claim here at Terminal 1, and I'll just have my photographer here show you just how many people are out here just waiting. They've been evacuated, at least hundreds of people. And we've spoken to some of them. Someone who was inside at the time told us that they were told to evacuate around 4:30 this morning. She was waiting on a flight, and now she doesn't know the future of that flight simply because she's been out here just waiting to get more information, to get the all clear. Just minutes ago, we did get the heard an all clear for TSA as well as anyone who works inside of the airport. So again, these flyers are just waiting to get back inside at this point. We did see a large police presence, and we're still seeing police around this area. A flyer told us that they had canines out just going up and down this sidewalk here inside the terminal. So we're still trying to learn more information about that anonymous threat, and we'll bring you those details as soon as we have them. And we'll keep you updated on the progress of what's going on, again, here at Terminal 1 outside baggage claim. Live at RDU, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
A story we will be staying with all day long. Thank you, Kirsten. Raleigh police say that a man is in the hospital this morning because he was stabbed, and that stabbing happened around 11:30 last night on Idlewild Avenue. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as police were blocking off the road as they investigated. Investigators tell us the man was stabbed in the stomach, but he is expected to be okay after a trip to the hospital. Officers say the stabbing started as a domestic dispute and a man is in custody, and we're working to learn who that suspect is and if they're facing any charges.
More breaking news this morning. More county deputies are investigating after 2 people were shot and killed last night. The sheriff's office says the shooting happened around 9 p.m. on Gaines Street. That's just off NC Highway 5 between Aberdeen and Pinehurst. The WRAL breaking news tracker saw canines and officers searching the area. No word yet on any suspects or what may have led to this shooting.
Tonight, customers will get a chance to weigh in on rising power bills. The North Carolina Utilities Commission is holding a public hearing on a proposed rate increase from Duke Energy. Let's go ahead and bring in Liz McLaughlin right now in downtown Raleigh with more. Liz, this proposal, it's getting a lot of attention from people.
So much frustration growing over those rising energy bills, and we're just seeing more increases on the horizon. The base rate has already gone up 22% since 2020, and now Duke Energy is proposing an 18% increase over the next 2 years. That could be about $34 a month for the typical customer by 2028, according to the filing. And Duke says that it needs hundreds of millions of dollars here to pay for things like grid upgrades, power plant maintenance. Many ratepayers already say that bills are too high. We saw 71,000 signatures asking for an audit of Duke Energy's fee practices, and that's as they post record profits, bringing in about $5 billion in net income last year.
We do hear you, and we take very seriously our responsibility to try to keep costs as low as possible. I will say that we are a regulated utility, which means we have some of the most oversight of any industry in the country. And the process through which we establish rates is a very rigorous review process by our regulators that does look to make sure those rates are fair.
And so regulators will ultimately decide if this rate increase proposal is just and reasonable. Duke says that they need this much of an increase to be able to maintain the grid and keep the power reliable. People can weigh in tonight at a public hearing at 7 p.m. or virtually tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. All those details are on our website. Live in Raleigh, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
Also happening today, city leaders in Rocky Mount will be talking about a proposed utility rate hike that's getting criticism from residents. Last week at City Hall, people were gathered there to protest this. If approved, the rate hikes could be as high as 15% for some utilities. And this is happening as city leaders discuss ways to dig the city from financial crisis. Today's public hearing will be at Rocky Mount City Hall, and that is at 10 a.m.
New this week, the Raleigh Convention Center is entering the next phase of recovery after a massive fire damaged the roof almost 4 months ago. New equipment will be loaded onto the roof to be installed. Part of McDowell Street will shut down this week for the repairs, and lanes will be closed starting on Wednesday for at least a week. This comes after that fire tore through the convention center's roof back in December. Since then, temporary air handlers have been in use while events resumed. Carrie Painter with the city of Raleigh says the timing for this next step couldn't be better.
We didn't have any clients in the building at that moment. It's also right around March break and Easter. And so we recognize there'll be less cars on the street. So it's a more convenient time for most people coming down to work. It also doesn't close during rush hours.
And city officials tell us 1 to possibly 2 lanes will be closed for a few hours in the middle of each day.
The top-seeded Duke Blue Devils got knocked out of the NCAA tournament in the Elite Eight, both the men's and women's teams. UConn stunned the Blue Devils with a last-second three-pointer for the men's team. Duke led by as many as 19 points in the first half, but turnovers in the second half. This is what cost the team. The Huskies won 73-72, and coming up in the next 10 minutes, Pat Welter and Chris Lee will go through some of the key moments from the game, and they'll also bring you a reaction from players and the coach. Now, as for Duke women's basketball, their season ended after UCLA rallied from a halftime deficit against the Lady Blue Devils. Bruin senior Lauren Betts scored 23 points and 10 rebounds to stamp the team's ticket to the national semifinals. The final score, UCLA 70, Duke 58.
UNC has suspended discussions about the future of the Dean Smith Center. That's until the Tar Heels hire their next men's basketball coach. They also want to wait until that coach has had time to develop their program. That potentially pushes any decision on a basketball arena decision into the future.
Now that there's going to be a new coach and a new regime in place, I think they would like to give that coach a time to put his input into it as well.
UNC fired Hubert Davis on Tuesday after the Tar Heels were eliminated from the NCAA tournament in the first round. Carolina is targeting some of the biggest names in the sport to replace Davis. The school's vice chancellor for communications told WRAL it doesn't want the contentious arena debate hanging over the search for the new coach. Now turning to the latest in the ongoing war in the Middle East, Pakistan says it will host talks between the U.S. and Iran. The country hosted talks with other countries, including Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. No word from leaders in the U.S. or Tehran on whether they plan to attend the talks or if they will be indirect. This comes after the president raised the idea of American forces seizing Iran's Karg Island. That's the country's main oil terminal in the Persian Gulf. And of course, we're keeping our eyes on those gas prices here in the state. Right now, the average statewide price is $3.76. In Raleigh, you'll spend $3.80. In Durham, you'll spend a little more at $3.83.
The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office shared a picture of the off-duty deputy shot and killed on Friday night. Investigators say Captain Adam Bean got into a dispute with another off-duty law enforcement officer, and this was at a home in Hope Mills. It happened just before 11 o'clock Friday night. That's when shots were fired and Captain Bean was killed. But there's no update on whether the other officer involved will face charges. But we do know the SBI is leading this investigation. Duke eliminated, a devastating loss for the Blue Devils in the second half against UConn. Our WRAL sports team will break down the key moments from the game and the reaction from the team. That's just ahead.
And preparing to launch as we're taking a live look. We're hearing from the crew of NASA's Artemis 2 mission. That's a look at the Kennedy Center in the days leading up to their trip around the moon, how they're getting ready for takeoff. Chris?
And temperatures throughout much of March have felt like they've been on the launch pad. It's been one of the warmest Marches on record. I'll show you how we're going to close things out and if there's any change in the trends leading up to Easter Sunday. That's coming up in just a few minutes. 613, just a light jacket this morning as opposed to yesterday being in the 20s and 30s. This feels good. Lewisburg's at 46, Roxborough 52, Siler City down to 43. Raleigh's at 51. Fayetteville 44 degrees. Southern Pines in the mid 40s. That's where you have more clear skies, so the temperature's been able to drop a little bit more as opposed to areas like Raleigh and Roxborough. But all of us get on the same page as we head into the afternoon. Midday lunch outside, mid to upper 60s. That's going to be really nice. High temperatures in the low to mid 70s this afternoon. And another dose of warmth. We're looking at high temperatures reaching the 80s much of the week. I'm going to show you what's behind that drastic change from this past weekend. And then we'll look ahead to some of the trends approaching Easter Sunday and show you what's changed as we get ready for the holiday weekend. That's coming up in about 5 minutes.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Taking a look at the roads this morning. Our Ken Smith is off this week. You can see that traffic is beginning to pick up there at Lizard Lick. That's I-87 at Lizard Lick Road. And you can see overall, though, things are still moving nice and smoothly. If you're heading out on the roads, I should say, be sure to tune us in on the radio at 101.5 HD3. We'll keep you updated. Back to that breaking news this morning at RDU. Terminal 1 is reportedly being evacuated this morning. WRAL's Kirsten Clark is there in the WRAL breaking news tracker. And Kirsten, behind you, it looks like those crowds have moved.
Yeah, just moments ago, you saw hundreds of people here outside baggage claim at Terminal 1. They were standing on the sidewalk. And just minutes ago, they got the all clear to return back inside of the terminal. So we just saw those people flood back inside, many of them out here waiting since at least 4:30 this morning. The people we spoke with told us they're now concerned about their flights, don't know when they're going to be able to leave now, if they're going to miss connecting flights. And it's all because of an anonymous bomb threat. RDU confirmed that information for us. Again, they evacuated people by at least 4:30 this morning from the airport, not really giving much information, just saying that people had to leave. We saw a large police presence. You can still see police out here when we arrived, airport police. Folks also told us they saw canines just going through the crowds, going inside the terminal earlier. So we're still working to learn more information about that that threat, and more details about what exactly that threat was about. Just people asking questions about what it was related to. But I want you to take a listen. We spoke to a flyer who was inside when they were told to evacuate. Take a listen to what she had to say.
It was crazy, super busy, and then everybody was congregating at the front, of obviously trying to not be at the back of when they reopen everything. And then now they're sending, it's probably a music festival amount of crowd back there now. It's insane.
Yeah, you heard her just talking about how many people were out here, hundreds of people. And again, what is now up in the air is what's going to happen with their flight. So we're going to head inside eventually to talk to more folks to see what's going on in there. And we'll bring you more information as soon as we have it. Live at RDU, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
Any updates every 15 minutes. Thank you, Kirsten. 2 tough losses for Duke basketball fans. Both the men's and the women's team, they were eliminated in the Elite 8 of the NCAA tournament. WRAL's Pat Welter and Chris Lee report from D.C. after the men's team's loss to UConn.
Good morning from Washington, D.C., and I'm sure that there's a lot that Duke would love to forget about last night as they lost 73-72 to UConn in a game, Pat, where Duke led for 96% of the game. UConn only leading for 51 seconds of the 40 minutes.
It's so hard to process when maybe in the back of your mind you're already thinking about Indianapolis at halftime, and I know we were. Some of that is human nature, and I think to Duke's credit, they owned it after the game. They allowed UConn to get up and in them defensively. They weren't as poised, specifically in those final seconds where Caden Boozer, all he needed to do was draw a foul, turns it over, allowing Braylon Mullins to hit the game-winning three with 0.4 seconds to go. John Shire trying to process it after the game.
I don't have the words. What I do know is literally this team, what each individual player went through just to play the game. I've never seen anything like it. What these guys did have to get ready, their foot injuries. He's got a black eye. He's playing the whole game. And I'm incredibly sorry for these guys that they got to go through this. This is on us.
So now as we look ahead, the transfer portal opens up April 7th. We're going to start hearing from guys entering the NBA draft. It's expected that Cameron Boozer is going to be a lottery pick, so more than likely he's gone. We'll have to see what Isaiah Evans and Pat Gongba decide to do. Of course, Malik Brown is out of eligibility. Does Foster come back? Does Caden Boozer come back? Does Nick Haminia come back? Does Darren Harris come back? Those are a lot of questions that need to be answered for Duke for next year.
And I think it's fair to ask, does Duke need to get older, more mature, less reliant on freshmen? But at the same time, this was 3 losses this season by a combined 5 points, 2 at the buzzer. I believe 6 losses over the last 2 years. It's multiple ACC titles, 3 straight Elite 8 appearances for John Shire and that Final Four. So it's working. Sometimes March is going to march, and it bit Duke last night. Back to you guys.
Interesting takeaways and some lessons learned along the way. Our WRAL YouTube channel is where you can find more reaction from the team and Coach John Shire. There's also a breakdown of the game with Pat Welter, Chris Lee, and Brian Murphy. Just go to our WRAL YouTube channel and search the word Duke.
Well, it is a pretty exciting week. This Wednesday, 4 astronauts are scheduled to launch a trip around the moon as part of NASA's Artemis II mission. We got an update from the crew, including NC State graduate Christina Cook. So this is a historic flight, and Cook is the first woman to travel beyond low Earth orbit and fly to the moon. She's the mission specialist, so that means she oversees big picture operations and knows how to get the team back on track if something goes wrong. On board, they'll study how space flight impacts the body. They'll also analyze the far side of the moon that faces away from Earth. Cook said she hopes this mission helps answer the big question, is there other life in space?
Answering that question starts at the moon. The moon is a witness plate to our entire solar system's formation. It's a stepping stone to Mars, where we might have the most likelihood of finding evidence of past life. But it's also a Rosetta Stone for how other solar systems form.
Artemis II is a 10-day mission to travel around the moon. Again, it is expected to launch this Wednesday. If conditions are not perfect for launch, then they'll have to delay. And we hope, and it looks like things are looking good, Chris.
They're looking in the upward direction.
Yeah.
So there's the 45th Weather Squadron that they issue these forecasts every day. And yesterday they gave us an 80% chance of launch. There's some concern there, but yeah, we'll see what they have to say at 9 o'clock this morning.
We don't want any more delays for this project.
No, this
and
has
its
been
mission.
a huge project for sure, and definitely hoping that it goes off smoothly. The launch window is between 6:24 and 8:24 Wednesday. Fascinating read right now on WRAL.com from Tony Rice, where he talks about some of those requirements weather-wise for a successful launch. Back here at home, temperatures about 12 to 22 degrees higher than they were at this point yesterday morning. Getting outside for a walk or jog is going to feel really good. At 9 o'clock, mid-50s. By 11 o'clock, we're in the mid-60s, and highs today mainly reach the low to mid-70s pretty much all across the board. That's a good 10 degrees warmer than yesterday, and we'll continue to tack on to that heading into tomorrow. That's what you see on the right-hand side of your screen. Temperatures reaching into the low to mid-80s. Now, heading into Wednesday, at one point it looked like we had a decent shot of showers and storms, but the frontal system responsible for that is stalling out too far to the north and west. So after 5 or 6 o'clock, I can't rule out a few isolated showers and storms, most of which would be north and west of the triangle, but it's pretty slim pickings on Wednesday. And the same can be said as we head into Thursday and Friday as well. So it allows us the opportunity to warm up even more, with temperatures mainly reaching the low to mid 80s. It also means a little bit of a reduction in our rain totals over the next 7 days, anywhere from about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, some of that likely coming in late on Easter Sunday. That's 6 days away, obviously, so the timing can and will change, but no, that's something that we're keeping tabs on. Speaking of changes, we were in the 20s and 30s yesterday morning, 70s today, 80 to 85 for highs all throughout the week, and you probably won't need the jacket as you're heading out the door each morning this week because our morning lows will be in the low to mid 60s. Guys?
Chris, thank you. All right, let's get another track and look at traffic this morning at I-40 Jones Sausage Road. Boy, things are beginning to pick up there, especially compared to the last 30 minutes or so. Overall, though, we're not seeing any major backup or delays. Drive times are pretty much normal for this time of day. So we're going to continue to follow any updates on the roads as we get them throughout the morning. Be sure to tune us in on the radio at 101.5 HD3.
Your time is 6:22 this morning. High protein craze. Businesses everywhere are adding the option to their menus, which is why 5 on your side will explain what you need to know if you frequently use protein products.
This What's Trending report is sponsored by Call Dad AC and Heating.
All right, Project Hail Mary is doing very well in the box office, and BTS topped the Billboard charts.
All right, let's dive into those stories this morning and what's trending. So let's start with Project Hail Mary. The sci-fi film starring Ryan Gosling made $54.5 million in just its second weekend.
Wow.
That is a 10-day domestic total of $164 million. That makes it the top grossing Hollywood film of the year so far, and I'm pretty sure globally it's already hit the $300 million mark.
That's incredible. In the movie, Gosling stars as a school teacher on a desperate mission to save the planet.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but people are like, you got to go watch that movie. I said, okay,
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
It's on my list for sure. Okay, listen to this. BTS is back at the top of the Billboard 200 chart. The reunited K-pop group's Arirang had the biggest sales this week for an album by a group in more than 10 years. This is the group's 7th album to reach this milestone.
Yeah, the group sold around, I think it was 641,000 album units, and this is happening after the group's album broke records as Spotify's most streamed album in a single day in 2026. But I joked that Taylor Swift is going to hear that and be like, no, I got to release something.
And drop something else.
Release the director's cut of something.
And they might do a collab. Who knows?
If there is a Taylor Swift BTS collab, I would be very interested to see how that would sound.
All right. Well, we have more news just ahead.
Yeah, right now it's 6:26, and coming up on WRAL News at 6:30, recovery moves forward. The Raleigh Convention Center is entering a new phase after that massive fire. What's happening now and how it could affect your drive this morning.
And prices going up. Customers will get a chance to have their say about the rising power costs. The proposal from leaders and how it could impact your monthly bill.
The temperatures going up as well as we go through the next several days. I'm going to show you what's behind the rise back into the 80s and how things are shaping up the closer we get to Easter Sunday. All that coming your way in our next half hour of news.